Welcome to today's tutorial. I'm wearing this face mask, which makes talking a little bit more difficult. But this is what we're gonna do today. So, well, let me take it off for now. Because today we're going to make face masks. And even though these fabric ones are not as perfect as maybe the medical ones, the N95 pollution masks or the surgical one, they still offer us a fair bit of protection. And this one also has a wire incorporated, so we can make it really nice and snug around the nose area. We have some elastic on the sides, and then this is also double layer. There's many face masks have this pleat style, but for me personally, I don't find them as comfortable and I get a really hard time breathing. I wanted to have something that is a little bit more ergonomical and kind of shaped to the body. And the nice thing is we can really play with this curve. If you believe you have more nose to cover or something, just like extend it right here. We can use all kinds of like leftover fabrics for this. And especially shirts or old bed sheets, old duvet covers, this kind of very thin but densely woven material is an appropriate material to use. It is light and easy to sew, and we don't want to have it too thick. Thank you all for watching. Let's make lots of face masks and give them to people who really need them.
So, in this tutorial we are going to create a reusable face mask inspired by the Japanese face masks that are not based on pleats but are shaped the face. So, we are starting with a rectangular box, 8 by 14 centimeters, that's 14 high and 8 centimeters wide. So, and now we're going to mark several points. This one is 2 cm from the right top corner, and now I'm measuring 8 cm, or you can do 6 from the top and another 3 cm from the lower right corner to the left, another 3 cm in the lower left corner upwards, and 3.5 down from the top left corner. Now we are adding another rectangle, and this will actually be the side of the mask, and this is where we will attach the elastic band. I've done 3 sections, each 1 cm, for easy folding. So now we're doing the shape of the mask. The first line, there we go. And now on this top line, I'm drawing the line, and then I'm marking 4 centimeters from the top down and another 0.5 centimeters from this point. And now I'm using this new point, 0.5 down, to create this little corner there. So last but not least, the curved seam that is also our center front. And there you go. So I've added 1 cm seam allowance, and now I'm going to cut the pattern out. Voila. I've sped that up a little bit. And we are going to cut it 4 times. So I've picked this white and gray stripe fabric. It's a very thin cotton, and then this like peach orange poly cotton mix, and some white elastic for the ear loops. We will cut 2 pieces, each 20 centimeters long. There you go. And now I've ironed my fabrics, and they are folded, so there are always 2 layers, and now I'm layering them all together so I can cut 4 pieces at the same time. Place your pattern piece on top. and then fix it with a few pins. There we go. And now I'm gonna cut all 4 layers at the same time. And the last little piece. There we go. Now we can unpin. And it's time to sew. So the 2 pieces in peach orange are my lining, and the white and gray striped cotton will be the outside. I'm going to pin them together so the right sides are facing the right side, and I'm going to stitch the curved seam first. So let's go to the machine. So let's start with the lining. I added 1 cm seam allowance, so I'm stitching at 1 cm all the way along the curved seam, and don't forget to do a back stitch at the end and of course at the beginning. And now let's move over to the outside piece. The same thing, right side on right side, and then we're stitching the curved seam with 1 cm seam allowance. Now it's always very important to give it a very good pressing. So the first thing is to give it a good press and steam as is, and now we want to flip it inside out. And I use these little scissors, actually not for cutting but for pushing the seam nicely outwards. It's very important now that we open the seam allowance as much as possible and create an open seam so it's all nice and flat, and actually the curve has a nice shape. So the second piece there, and now I'm going to put them right side to right side. Again, the seam allowance from the curved seam is now always facing to the outside, and I can do the first one, which is the top seam. Again, 1 cm seam allowance, and I'm patiently stitching them together, little back stitch, and now step by step make sure that the 2 curved seams are perfectly on top of each other. Voila, and you can see the seam allowance is ironed to the left and the right. And now we're going to do exactly the same to the bottom part of the face mask, still leaving the side seams open because we have to flip it afterwards. Snap, snap. Actually, this time I'm cutting my thread on the back of the footer. So there we go. We need to flip it and iron it. And now, if we want to incorporate a little piece of wire, we have to add a top stitch on the top edge of the mask, so we can use like the little tunnel afterwards to insert the wire. So I'm actually stitching it at a footer's width, which is around 0.5 cm. And now I can insert the wire into this little tunnel that I created. So once the wire is in, we can do the sides now. We want to fold them twice. It's easiest to do that with an iron, so I actually did that off camera, and then I put a pin at the beginning and at the end of the seam, and now I want to stitch it very, very neatly on the edge. Here I zoomed in, the red line is where you want to stitch. So again, we want to create a little tunnel so we can later on put our elastic through. So quickly to the other side, spread that up a bit, very neatly on the edge, and there we go. Now I'm gonna cut off all the excess lint, and now it's time to put the elastic through. And I'm using my extra long little tongs there that are actually for the overlock machine. They're very long, and I put it through. I'm very bad at making knots, so I kind of cut that out. There we go. Now we want to try to get the knot into the tunnel so it's all nice and neat and clean. The other side, same thing, and a knot and into the tunnel. So guys, this tutorial is almost coming to an end. I want to say thank you all for watching. I hope you have fun with your new face masks, and I hope you're gonna make lots of them. Bye bye.
Bye bye everyone. Bye bye.